What is up, everybody? This is Nick Fiore of Furious Nation right here on YouTube. This is episode 4 of the Forbidden podcast here on Hardcore Sports and Furious Nation on YouTube. I'm Nick Fiore of Furious Nation. It is Saturday, June the 24th of 2025. We're halfway into the month of June. Today also being National Flag Day as well. Fun little fact. Hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday so far. No Adam Carl so far. Trying to reach out to him. I don't know what's going on. If it's his internet connection, I don't know what the hell's going on with Adam Carl, but trying to reach out to him. But so far, but they do say the show must go on. Hopefully he's able to pop in here before the stream's over. But as far as right now goes, you got me. We got episode 4 of the Forbidden podcast to discuss. Hit the like on the video. So smash the like on the video, super kick it, give it an RKO, a Cody Cutter, what have you. Hit the like on the video, be greatly appreciated. And also subscribe to not only the Hardcore Sports, go subscribe also to the Over the Top Rope podcast, which will be merging with Hardcore Sports. Go subscribe to Furious Nation as well. It would mean a lot. And hit the bell for all notifications when you do subscribe to Furious Nation, Hardcore Sports Network, and Over the Top Rope podcast. So it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Go follow me on X at FioreNick579. Give me a follow on X. Give me a follow on Instagram at Nicholas Fiore 2014. Facebook, Nicholas Fiore 31. And go follow me also on TikTok at Furious Nation as well. So no Adam Carl just yet. We're 3 minutes into this live stream. No Adam Carl just yet. I'm going to see about copying the link once again. Let me see here. I'm going to send this link one more time to Adam Carl. Hopefully we can get his button here and stuff like that. Hopefully his internet connection's not too bad. But I do appreciate, but as far as right now goes, appreciate you guys showing up. And Mitch says, what's up? What's up, Mitch? And I appreciate you guys stopping by here for your Saturday afternoon. Supposed to be a rainy day today here in New York where I'm at. It's been hot weather-wise, but not that hot. But it's been raining an awful lot the past several weekends, and I don't know why. Not a big rain guy, more of a nice warm weather summer kind of guy. So that's just me. But anyways, we're about to get started. I mean, hopefully Adam Carl here soon, but we gotta, the thing is the show must go on. So hopefully he is in here before the end of the stream. So we'll see. Hopefully his internet is all good, but we're going to get started for episode 4 of the Forbidden podcast. We're going to discuss favorite moments of wrestling, top moments of wrestling for the month of June. We are going to talk very shortly about favorite moments, top moments, what happened in wrestling-wise month of June over the years. We're also going to talk about some WWE draft news. Apparently, the WWE draft, according to Corey Hayes of BodySlam.net, shout out to him, and he's usually pretty reliable. As far as news, wrestling news and sources goes, he's usually pretty credible. Apparently, according to Corey Hayes of BodySlam.net, a WWE draft is scheduled this year following SummerSlam, probably around like the fall as well, like late September, early October, when the WWE has their Raw and SmackDown season premieres. So we will see what happens on that. We're going to discuss that, though. Also going to discuss how this year's draft should be formatted compared to last year's draft. And do we think it should be different? How should it be conducted, etc., etc. So that, and should be a good episode today for episode 4 of the Forbidden podcast. We'll talk about ECW One Night Stand 05 and 06, which happened in the month of June as well. The other day was the 20th anniversary of ECW One Night Stand 2005, but we might as well start with that, actually, while we wait for Adam Carl. We're going to first talk about the 20th anniversary. The other day, June 12th, which was on a Thursday. Yes, June 12th, 2 days ago, a Thursday. June 12th, this past Thursday, was the 20th anniversary of the first One Night Stand. The ECW One Night Stand 2005 show, in my opinion, was one of the best shows of all time and one of the best WWE produced shows of all time. And it didn't even feel like a WWE like show. Like, it felt like a non-WWE like show, and it took place in New York City at the Hammerstein Ballroom. And man, what a show that was! The crowd, the environment, matches, just the whole show was great. The whole entire damn show was great. It took place in the heart of New York City, Manhattan Center / Hammerstein Ballroom. It was a crazy pay-per-view, one of the best pay-per-views ever of all time that was ever produced. And it came from the DVD from years and years ago, the Rise and Fall of ECW, like with ECW being popular in the 90s, and then when they went out of business in the spring of 2001 via bankruptcy, etc., etc. And they happened to have this One Night Stand show in 2005, Sunday, June 12th, 2005. You had the commentary team be of Joey Styles and Mick Foley. No Taz, because I believe Taz on that night wrestled SmackDown's Kurt Angle right before Kurt Angle. I think it was the night before Kurt Angle got drafted to Raw in the 05 draft lottery, because the next night, the next night on Raw, on the Monday, June 13th, 05 edition of Raw, that Raw, Kurt Angle, the second Raw draft pick, got drafted from SmackDown to Monday Night Raw, did Kurt Angle. At 1 week after John Cena got drafted Raw, who was in Cena at the time was the WWE champion. So Taz on the show wrestled Kurt Angle right the night before Angle got drafted to Raw, because he represented SmackDown on this ECW One Night Stand show. You had the Raw guys in Raw t-shirts in the high balcony, and the SmackDown guys in SmackDown t-shirts. You had representing Raw, I think you had like Edge, no Lita though, who was with Edge at the time. No Edge, loud "We Want Matt" chants because of the Matt Hardy stuff in 2005, where he got fired, got released in the spring of 05, right around WrestleMania 21, and then loud "We Want Matt" chants, and then they got so loud to the point where Vince McMahon had no choice but to bring Matt Hardy back, and it led to Matt Hardy and Edge at SummerSlam in 2005, and that was the real life saga in 05 with Edge and Matt Hardy, because Lita cheated on Matt Hardy with Edge. And Edge was a big heel in 2005. And then they turned Lita heel in 05, and they paired Lita and Edge together on Raw on television in 05, when Lita dumped Kane and all, etc., etc. He had representing Raw, I think he had Edge. I think he had La Resistance, former tag team back in the Ruthless Aggression Era. I think they were former World Tag Team champions on Raw, I think. I think he had Tyson Tomko, who used to be with Christian. I think you may have Christian there, I think. You had Jonathan Coachman. You had then Raw GM Eric Bischoff. And representing SmackDown, you had JBL. You had Orlando Jordan. You had Kurt Angle. You had Doug and Danny Basham of the Basham Brothers. You had Carlito. And then you had Matt Morgan, all representing SmackDown at the time. This was before Carlito also got drafted to Raw as well. You had Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Benoit, which was Eddie's last ever match at Hammerstein, 5 months before Eddie sadly passed away unexpectedly. 5 months before Eddie unfortunately passed away. I think at Chris Jericho wrestle on the show, Lance Storm, and Jericho at the time represented Monday Night Raw as well. He had Rey Mysterio also wrestle on this program against Psychosis right before the Mexicals debuted for SmackDown. Right before this, you had where Juventud Guerrera, Super Crazy, and Psychosis of the Mexicals, but right before those three debuted on SmackDown as the Mexicals, right before that. And they debuted on SmackDown, the Mexicals, a week or two after this show. You had Rey Mysterio beat Psychosis in a decent match. You had Sabu and Rhino in an impromptu match. You had RVD on the show. Benoit and Eddie did wrestle. Wasn't that good. and kind of an awkward match to put on because Eddie was in a feud with Rey Mysterio at this time, so Eddie really couldn't lose, and also Benoit couldn't lose either because 2 nights but prior to this show, Chris Benoit in the 05 draft got drafted from Raw to SmackDown, got drafted back to SmackDown in 2005. So this was an awkward situation to put this match in, and Benoit beat Eddie, and which was their final encounter before Eddie passed away 5 months later that year, sadly. He had Mike Awesome, I think, on the show. He beat Masato Tanaka. He also had a Super Crazy. He had a triple threat elimination match between Super Crazy, Tajiri, and Little Guido, a.k.a. Nunzio. This was crazy. I think there's a spot that Super Crazy did that diving moonsault off the balcony, which was a crazy spot. That was really nice. You had Lance Storm beat Chris Jericho on this show. And then for me, the two big highlights of this show were the loud, venomous boos shot directed at Kurt Angle and JBL. And they beat up this guy in the balcony, and I think JBL shoves this guy to the ground, and Kurt Angle's yelling to this guy, "Get your ass out of here!" And man, the loud, venomous fucking boos and shit directed right at Kurt Angle and JBL. And Kurt Angle's berating the ECW fans. He said, "ECW fans suck. They're the lowest of lows. All of you ECW fans suck." And then Kurt Angle got the "you suck." I'm not going to say it. The "you suck" D chants Kurt Angle got. And then Kurt Angle's yelling, "Your mama taught me how." It was so funny. And Kurt Angle got nuclear heat. And JBL even more nuclear heat. And Kurt Angle was shitting on the ECW fans, saying that the ECW fans are idiots and that ECW is not wrestling, it's crappy wrestling. And he says, "Get your little chance in because your heroes tonight are getting their asses kicked by us and you're not going to do anything about it." And then Kurt said to the crowd to kiss his ass. And then JBL gets asshole chants. He gets asshole. And then JBL's talking. He's saying, "1 block away is Madison Square Garden. You put my name on the billboard or advertisement, it sells out." Well, ECW could barely fill up or sell out a bingo hall, but not quite a bingo hall was Hammerstein Ballroom. And then JBL's like, "Every one of you could be ECW. I'm above ECW. ECW is crap, and I'm above all this. Any one of you could be ECW." And JBL, man, he got chance to shut the fuck up. JBL in 05 was one of those guys who could garner that heel heat and get you to boom for all the right reasons. That's how good he was as a heel this time. Not the biggest JBL fan, but man, as a heel, he really got you to hate his stinking guts, and he was damn good at his job with that, man. And still to this day, he knows how to garner heel heat and knows how to get the fans to really hate him. So that's how good he was as a heel back in the day. And this was 2 months after losing the WWE Championship that year, 2 months prior at WrestleMania 21 to John Cena, who was the current WWE Champion on SmackDown in John Cena's retirement tour year this year for 2025. So JBL's berating the crowd, and he's like, "None of you can beat me." That pisses all of you guys off. RVD then happened to cut him off, and then they cut JBL's mic off, and then RVD's talking on the mic and talking to JBL, so to tell him, JBL, to shut your mouth, and this is not about you, this is about us, ECW tonight. And that was for Rhino, Gord, RVD. Then lights came out, they came back on, then Sabu appears. You get an impromptu match with Sabu and Rhino, which Sabu won, where I think he leg dropped Rhino through the table in the ring for Sabu to win. And by the way, God rest his soul, Sabu. God rest his soul. ECW original and ECW icon and a future Hall of Famer. One of the greatest of all time is the genocidal, suicidal, homicidal, death-defying Sabu. So, up there to Sabu. One of the greatest of all time. So that was cool to see Sabu that show. Also, the Paul Heyman roast on Eric Bischoff with Jonathan Coachman, Edge, and JBL, where Paul Heyman said, "I got something to say to you." And then Paul Heyman was going down Eric Bischoff and the WCW stuff, and yada, yada, yada. And Eric Bischoff happened to give him the finger. It was great. And Heyman just roasting Bischoff. And then Paul Heyman then is like, oh, hide your wives. It's Edge. And he's roasting Edge. And then he tells Edge, I have 2 words for you because no one else in the company has the balls to do it. Matt freaking Hardy. And this was where, like I said moments ago, the We Want Matt regarding Matt Hardy movement, because he was fired from, released by WWE in the spring of 05, right around the time where Lita cheated on Matt Hardy with Edge. And then the WWE fired him wrongfully. And then the fans chanted every single week on Raw, we want Matt, you screwed Matt. Directing that chant, the you screwed Matt chant directly, specifically to Edge. Because Lita and Matt Hardy were a real life couple, then Lita happened to cheat on him with Edge, Adam Copeland. And then there was a Raw in Madison Square Garden a few weeks after WrestleMania 21. I think that was the Raw in MSG where Jim Ross beat Triple H thanks to then World Heavyweight Champion Batista, I think. And I think it was that Raw where the chants, the We Want Matt chant movement started directly to Edge. And then to the point where then going into the beginning of the summer of 05, Matt Hardy was jumping barricades and beating the shit out of Edge backstage, trying to kill him and stuff. And Matt Hardy would invade the WWE on Raw, not even contracted to them anymore. And it was nuts, and it got so much crazy to the point where Vince had no choice but to bring him back. And in the end, WWE, Vince McMahon at the time, they brought Matt Hardy back, and they signed him to a new contract. He got signed to the Raw brand, and it led to Matt Hardy versus Edge in Washington, D.C. in a match at SummerSlam in 2005. And then they had their little rivalry in late 05, did Edge and Matt Hardy. I think they didn't only wrestle at SummerSlam 05, but they also wrestled in a cage match at Unforgiven 05, where Matt Hardy did the leg drop off the top of the cage to Edge, did Matt Hardy. Then they wrestled in a ladder match for Edge's Money in the Bank when Edge had his first briefcase for the Money in the Bank. It was for the briefcase, I think it was the Raw Homecoming in early October of 05. It was a ladder match for Edge's briefcase, but also a loser leave Raw match where Edge won, ending the rivalry, and sent Matt Hardy packing leaving Raw, but sent Matt Hardy to SmackDown in the late fall of 2005 as well. So they had a little nice rivalry at the time. And late 05 did Edge and Matt Hardy. So then Paul Heyman talked down to JBL. Like he's saying, oh, JBL says ECW died. ECW went out of business. They filed for bankruptcy in 2001. And then I love this line where Paul Heyman said to JBL, quote, the only reason, Bradshaw, that you were WWE champion for a year was because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesday. Because Triple H got drafted to SmackDown in the 2004 draft. But then after the show went off the air, Triple H got drafted right back to Raw in 2004. And at the time, SmackDown in 04 was on Thursday, but it wasn't live. It was taped on Tuesday, air on Thursday. And Triple H didn't want to work on Tuesday. And then Paul Heyman's like, this ain't Raw, this is SmackDown. Hell, this ain't even WWE, this is ECF&W. That and great shoot roast promo from Paul Heyman. That was awesome stuff. And then you got the main event of that show, the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley, taking on Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman. And man, Sandman's Enter Sandman theme song by Metallica, still to this day, great theme song. I still listen to it very much so to this day. And honestly, to me, it never gets old. Still a great song to this day. The Enter Sandman song by Metallica, definitely go check it out. And Sandman came out to that theme song on that show, and everyone's singing his theme song. He's coming from the balcony, drinking his beer, busting himself open with the cane. It was incredible stuff. And then I think you had the Blue World Order come out as well. Also with this, and the Dudleys won this match. Sandman's calling for a beer, and then Kurt Angle gets gored by Rhino. Then he gets choked out, and then Kurt Angle gets choked out by Taz in the Taz Mission. And then Steve Austin's cutting a promo. Hey, all you WWE guys, come down to this ring, or I'm coming up there to beat your asses. And you're gonna get the ass kicking for me if I have to come up to the balcony and beat all your asses," said Steve Austin, who was also on this show. And then in the end, Mick Foley grabs Eric Bischoff, and Bischoff thought he was slick, thought he could escape so easy. And Mick Foley grabbed him from behind and threw Eric Bischoff right in the ring. And Steve Austin's directing traffic. He had all the ECW guys, ECW alum, ECW legends, current WWE wrestlers who were part of ECW, like Rey Mysterio, Chris Benoit. I think you had the Dudleys in there. You had Al Snow. You had Sandman, Stevie Richards. You had Tommy Dreamer, Sandman. You had the Dudleys. I think you had Raven in there, I think. You had Psychosis. You had a bunch of guys in there in the ring, crowding the ring. And then Steve Austin's yelling at Bischoff to get up, get up. Then he's like, "Dudleys, how about give Eric Bischoff, help me out with the 3D. So Eric Bischoff gets a 3D from both Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley to 3D to Dudley Death Drop. And then Chris Benoit goes to top rope, and Steve Austin tells him to give him a flying dive and headbutt, which he does, delivered to Benoit to Bischoff. And Steve Austin's like, "Kill this son of a bitch." And then Benoit gives Bischoff the diving headbutt from the top rope. And then Eric Bischoff is draped on the second rope. And then Steve Austin tells Rey Mysterio to give him a 619. So Rey Mysterio dials it up, gives Eric Bischoff a 619. And then Eric Bischoff is out like this, laying on the looking up at the ceiling, like laying down in the ring, looking up at the ceiling in the middle of the ring. And then Steve Austin's like, "Eric Bischoff, this is Austin 316 calling. I thought I could take this time to give a post-show interview. Eric Bischoff, your thoughts on the evening." And then Eric Bischoff is yelling, "Fuck ECW." And then the ECW guys pick up Eric Bischoff. And then Austin's like, "Pick that son of a bitch up. Move him right here. Ray, can you hold this for me?" Then Steve Austin gives this, and then the stunner to Bischoff right into next year. And then Steve Austin's like, "Let's drink some damn beer." And then the Dudleys pick up a deadweight Eric Bischoff. They carry him, right? And as they carry him, they throw Bischoff, they throw Bischoff out of the Hammerstein Ballroom, and the Dudleys throw Eric Bischoff right in the back of a dumpster truck and like taking out the trash. I actually throw him right in the back of the dumpster truck outside the Hammerstein Ballroom, like talk about taking out the trash. And it was so funny. It was so funny. And then Steve Austin's music went off, and the Drowning Pool theme, "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor," that theme song went off. Love that theme song as well. Just like Enter Sandman by Metallica. Love Let the Bodies Hit the Floor by Drowning Pool. Never gets old. Still a great theme song to this day. That theme song also went off. And Joey Styles is all happy on commentary, and he yells at the ending quote of ECW One Night Stand 2005, "ECW lives!" And it concluded what was a great, great show. One of the greatest shows ever produced in pro wrestling was ECW One Night Stand 2005. Just a very great, memorable show. And a lot of people feel the same way. And honestly, I mean, ECW should have never relaunched in 06. It was never going to work. But had ECW ended with that One Night Stand show right there, that would have been a perfect ending send-off for Extreme Championship Wrestling, hands down. So then they had the next ECW One Night Stand show in 2006. Same arena, Hammerstein Ballroom, New York City, Sunday, June 11th, 2006, the second ECW One Night Stand show in 2006. Now, that one was good, but not as good as One Night Stand 05. I think for me, the only highlight of the 06 One Night Stand was John Cena and RVD, where RVD cashed in his Money in the Bank on the WWE Championship and John Cena, which their build was great. Their promo for that match was great, and their match was really good at One Night Stand 06 as well between John Cena and RVD. He also had on the One Night Stand 06 show, Kurt Angle and Randy Orton. Orton was representing. He just got moved back to Raw from SmackDown in the spring of 06. The 06 little draft they had, RVD from Raw went to ECW, and Kurt Angle from SmackDown then 06 went to the ECW brand when they relaunched ECW in 2006 as a third brand in the WWE on Tuesday nights on the Sci-Fi Channel. You had ECW, you had quote-unquote ECW's Kurt Angle versus WWE Raw's Randy Orton, where Kurt Angle won that match. It was the opener of One Night Stand 06, and Kurt Angle won the match via the ankle lock submission. And Orton got eaten alive by that rabid ECW Hammerstein Ballroom crowd, where you got a chance of, fuck him up, Angle, fuck him up. Fuck him up, Angle, fuck him up. You got bitch slapped, go fuck Cena, Orton swallows. And Angle ended the match with the ankle lock submission and won the match. And this was right before Kurt Angle left the WWE in 2006 and went to go wrestle for several years over in TNA. I mean, if anything, ECW Kurt Angle kind of set the stage for Kurt Angle's one decade run in TNA, because what you saw with Kurt Angle in TNA was it was basically TNA Kurt Angle with ECW's Kurt Angle before it was TNA Kurt Angle. Pretty much, if you know what I'm saying, if that makes any sense. But that was the opener for One Night Stand 06. You also had Edge and Mick Foley team on the show with Lita. I think it was a hard six-person tag team tornado tag hardcore match. Edge, Mick Foley, and Lita and they beat Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer, and Beulah McGillicuddy, where Edge got the pin on. Yeah, you don't want to know. It's PG. Yeah. But Edge, Foley, and Lita won the match. They also had Rey Mysterio defend the World Heavyweight title against Sabu. It ended a no contest where Sabu ran the ropes and did a DDT to Mysterio through the table that was stacked between the guardrail and the apron, and both men were out after that spot from Sabu. And the referee called for the bell for a no contest, which was dumb. It was I loved the match, hated the finish. The finish was just so fucking stupid. It didn't make any sense at all. I know you got to protect Rey Mysterio and Sabu, but I mean, come on, that was really, really illogical, stupid booking. Just like it was dumb to relaunch ECW in 06. It was never going to work. I think you also had Big Show on this show who just left the Raw brand in 06 for the ECW relaunch brand. And this is a month before he took the ECW title off RVD thanks to Paul Heyman and Big Show. Throughout late 06 was the ECW champion was Big Show when he was with Paul Heyman, and the ECW relaunch was the Big Show. He took out the Full Blood Italians and Tajiri and Super Gracie on this show as well. And I think that night was the debut song of Kurt Angle, of Big Show's Crank It Up theme song by Brand New Sin. Not his 05 song, but the 1 year where it's the Big Show. The one in like 2008 theme song, Big Show. That one. But then he had Taz and Jerry Lawler. Taz beat Jerry Lawler on the 06 One Night Stand show. And then, like I said, RVD and John Cena. Extreme Rules match for the WWE title, which was RVD's Money in the Bank cash-in. And RVD won the Money in the Bank match. The second Money in the Bank match in Chicago, WrestleMania 22, won by Rob Van Dam. When he beat Ric Flair, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, Matt Hardy, and Finlay. Where RVD beat those guys and won the second ever Money in the Bank ladder match, did RVD. And he cashed in on John Cena on the show, but didn't cash in out Edgewood like he did on Cena Undertaker when they already battered up and couldn't defend themselves. No, RVD cashed in the contract in advance, several weeks before this show. And the first time ever done like this by RVD. And this was a really good match, RVD and Cena at One Night Stand 06, and probably the only good highlight, in my opinion, on the 06 One Night Stand show. And that was where Cena got speared through a table in the corner in the ring by some guy in like a big helmet mask, and it was taken off, and it was revealed to be Edge, who was feuding with Cena at the time in 2006. And Edge pretty much helped Van Dam win the championship. And then following Edge's interference in this match, RVD hits the 5-star frog splash. Paul Heyman runs to the ring, does the 3 count, and RVD beats John Cena for the WWE Championship. RVD winning the WWE title for the very first time in 2006. Well, also right around this time and after this time. And then they had the first, and then 2 days later on Sci-Fi, the first ever episode of ECW after the ECW relaunch in 06. That episode 2 days after this show, and at the time, where it was revealed RVD being the only man in history, and the first man in history to be at the same time simultaneously. RVD is the WWE champion and ECW champion at the same time, where the 2 days later, after the 06 One Night Stand show, Paul Heyman revealed the ECW title and it was handed to RVD. So mid-June of 06, RVD was ECW champion and WWE champion simultaneously, and the first and only one to do that, by the way. But I mean, 06 One Night Stand wasn't a bad show, but the only highlight of the 06 One Night Stand was RVD and John Cena. It was not even close to the One Night Stand 05 show. The One Night Stand 05 show was something very, very special. And it didn't feel like a WWE produced show for the One Night Stand 05 show. The 06 one did, because they were relaunching ECW, which was never going to work, in my opinion. But those are some of the moments for wrestling for the month of June. Also, speaking of One Night Stand, One Night Stand Extreme Rules 2008, which in my opinion is as far as like, I mean, it was still under the One Night Stand moniker, but kind of under the Extreme Rules moniker in my eyes too. Probably in my eyes, the greatest Extreme Rules pay-per-view. And this was during towards the end of the Ruthless Aggression era. Probably the best Extreme Rules show towards right before the PG era, in my opinion, was One Night Stand Extreme Rules 2008, which took place on Sunday, June 1st, 2008. I think it was in San Diego, California. It had Edge and Undertaker in a TLC match for the vacant world title, where if Edge won, the Undertaker would have to leave the WWE or be banished by the WWE. But we all know Undertaker wasn't really gone. He was just working injured at the time, and it led to Undertaker and Edge in Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam 2008 in Indianapolis, which was awesome, where Undertaker came back, he beat Edge, and then he, quote, sent Edge to hell, where after Undertaker won the cell match, he chokeslammed Edge in the ring in the cell, off the ladder and through the ring. And Undertaker lit threw the ring on fire, did Undertaker with his powers, and, quote, sent Edge to hell, which I thought was an awesome, cool moment, in my opinion. And I watched that pay-per-view, SummerSlam 2008 live, and it was a good show. I remember watching that live on pay-per-view at the time. It was really good stuff. Also, One Night Stand Extreme Rules 08, I think he had Jeff Hardy and Umaga and a Falls Count Anywhere, where Jeff Hardy did the swanton off the production truck to Umaga, which was an extreme cool moment. And Jeff Hardy was super over, popular, red hot at this time. And 2008, this was Jeff Hardy's year. And at the end of 08, he became the WWE champion at Armageddon 2008. Cool, great moment. And Jeff was being pushed big at this time, was Jeff Hardy. I think you had also Batista, Shawn Michaels in a stretcher match where Batista won. This was a few months after Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24 in Orlando. And Batista and Ric Flair were best friends in Evolution. And Shawn Michaels was crying to Ric Flair in their WrestleMania 24 match, and Shawn Michaels was crying to Ric, "I'm sorry, I love you," before delivering a second Sweet Chin Music and pitting Ric Flair to retire Ric Flair in 2008 WrestleMania 24. Then it led to a trilogy of a couple matches with HBK and Batista. Then he involved Chris Jericho, who was Intercontinental Champion at this time. And this is a week or two before Chris Jericho's 2008 heel turn on the highlight reel, beating the shit out of Shawn Michaels, smashing Michaels through the Jeritron. Batista won the stretcher match. He had the last man standing match as well for the WWE title between Triple H defending against Randy Orton. And I think this was the show where Randy Orton in 2008 injured his collarbone. Like, he went for an RKO, and Triple H countered, lifted Orton over the top rope, and Orton landed high and hard to the outside, and Orton got injured pretty bad and injured his collarbone, and then Triple H used a sledgehammer and retained the title. And then John Cena JBL first blood match where John Cena won. Beth Phoenix and Melina, first ever women's I Quit match where Beth Phoenix won. Then he had the Singapore Kane match. I called it a Singapore Kane match with John Morrison, CM Punk, Chavo Guerrero, Tommy Dreamer, and Big Show, where whoever won that match got Kane for the ECW title at the time at the 08 Night of Champions in Dallas, where Big Show was like, I think he was bleeding all over his eye, and the referees didn't have the gloves to wipe it off, and it made Big Show look like an absolute monster, and it was great. And he's like destroying everything in his path, and Big Show won with absolute destruction. It was great. And this was where Big Show came back to WWE in 2008. He left at the end of 06 after the disastrous ECW December to Dismember pay-per-view, one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. And then Big Show took a break. He took a break in 07, left the WWE at the end of 06, was gone from WWE in 07. Then he came back at No Way Out 2008 in Las Vegas in February 08. Where it led to Big Show and Floyd Money Mayweather, biggest versus the best at WrestleMania 24, where Floyd Mayweather won by knockout with the brass knuckles. And Fred Bucks, we'll take a little break. The Forbidden Podcast, hell yeah. Don't know where Adam Carl is, but hopefully he's in here soon. Extreme Rules 2008 is a classic at this point. Absolutely. Even the theme song for One Night Stand 08, Extreme Rules, by Rev Theory. Even that song was, and it still kicks to this day. That was a theme song for the show. Great song for that show. Jeffrey Reimer says, "What's up, Furious?" Then Fred says, "Exactly. Last man standing match ended early." Yeah, because Orton got. I heard something. I think Adam Carl told me the other day Orton was actually going to win back the title on that show, but that spot changed the plans, and Orton injured his collarbone pretty bad, and he was out for several months throughout. Almost till the end of 2008. But it's a little story I was told by Adam Carl. But, yeah, One Night Stand Extreme Rules 08 was a very good show, in my opinion. It was better than the 07 One Night Stand, I'll tell you that, where you had John Cena and the Great Khali and Pulse Count Anywhere for the WWE title, which wasn't that good. Wasn't that good. You had Bobby Lashley against Vince McMahon for the ECW title with Umaga and Shane McMahon. It was not good. I wasn't impressed with it much. I think you had like RVD and Randy Orton in a stretcher match. All right. Edge Batista cage match for the world title. Fine. And Jeffrey Reimer says, yeah. And then Jeffrey Reimer, I mean, he knows. December to Dismember was bad. It was so fucking bad. So fucking bad. It's just TR as well. Yeah. December to Dismember was so fucking bad. I mean, and then Paul Heyman left the WWE for 6 years after that disastrous, like, abomination of a show. And Heyman was gone for 6 years until he came back in the spring of 2012, right after Brock Lesnar came back to WWE in 2012. Then Fred says about One Night Stand Extreme Rules 07, the only thing impressive about that match was Cena's AA to Khali. Yeah, where John Cena did the AA to Khali was off some like truck crane that Cena gave to Khali off nearly almost around the top of that to Cena give to Khali the AA, and Cena won and retained the title at the time against the Great Khali. But 07 One Night Stand Extreme Rules was not good, and that was in Jacksonville. That was not good at all. One Night Stand Extreme Rules 08 was much better, and 07 wasn't that good of a year for WWE, the first half at least. And then he had, obviously, the unfortunate Chris Benoit incident where he killed his wife and little 7-year-old son, and then before killing himself. That was terrible. And then I felt like the second half of 07, that was where things picked up and got much better. And that kind of bounced back a little bit. And I actually, fun little fact, September 07, I started watching wrestling in WWE, and I have watched ever since. September 07, it was an episode of SmackDown. That was the first time I ever watched WWE and wrestling, and I've watched ever since September 2007, and still to this day. So I've been watching WWE and wrestling for almost 18 years, which is a very long time. Very long time. And Jeffrey Reimer says, yeah, it was a crane, yeah. And then he also says, Batista and Undertaker in 07 rivalry was great. Absolutely. Very underrated banger they both had at WrestleMania 23 for the world title at Ford Field in Detroit. Their last man standing at Backlash 07, their cage match, and then he involved Edge, where he cashed in his second Money in the Bank on The Undertaker after the cage match with Batista and after the post-match assault from Mark Henry on The Undertaker. At the time, Undertaker was all bloody, couldn't even defend himself, and then Edge cashed in the second briefcase on him and took the world title off the dead man. Yet then it led to Edge and Batista in their matches, going into like Judgment Day, One Night Stand, and then Vengeance Night of Champions in 07. And then he had the Great Khali as the world champ, where Edge got hurt in the summer of 07. Then Edge came back at Survivor Series 07. It's a cameraman screwing Undertaker and Batista in their Hell in a Cell at the 07 Survivor Series. Yeah, then it led to Edge and Vicky Guerrero at late 07. What's up, Adam Cole? He's finally here. Yes. Yes. Adam Carl.
Hi.
What's up, man?
Sorry for being late. It was some problems.
Not to worry, my
Fantastic.
brother. At least you're here. Better late than never. But
Sorry for being late, obviously. Sorry for being late.
not to worry, man. Not to worry at all. But hey, better late than never. So, how we doing?
I apologize for arriving late, obviously.
Man, the chat understands. So does Jeffrey Reimer and all these guys in this chat. He says WrestleMania 23, Jeffrey Reimer. He has a DVD, so underrated. Yep, Batista, Undertaker, John Cena, HBK, the Money in the Bank match. He had Battle of the Billionaires.
Umaga with Lashley.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley, Umaga. The Battle of the Billionaires hair versus hair match with Donald Trump and Vince McMahon with Steve Austin as the referee. Where Vince got his head shaved in the middle of the ring in the barber's chair. That was so funny. So funny. So fucking funny. At the time.
And the Donald, you got a stunner.
And Donald Trump's birthday's today, too. I'm not a big Trump guy, but it is his birthday today. So, happy birthday to Donald Trump.
Yeah. I'm not a big Trump guy myself either, but I mean, happy birthday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Trump guy, but I'm not a big Trump guy, but he is the Donald.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe he gave Vince McMahon the spear again. He gave, those.
Yeah.
Those are...
Holy shit. But, anyways, going back to the One Night Stand 08 was better than 2007, I feel, for One Night Stand Extreme Rules. 05 One Night Stand was great. 06 wasn't as good as 05. 07 a One Night Stand was crap. 08 was much better. And this was 2008, where it was really WWE's year in 2008. 07 first half was not that good, outside of maybe like Batista, Undertaker, like Jeffrey Reimer said. And then late 07, where they had picked up with where he had Edge with Vicky Guerrero, La Familia, The Age of Orton, Chris Jericho coming back at the end in late November of 07.
I think most of it, in the first half, was dealt with injuries, I think.
Yeah, a lot of injuries. Yeah, he had
injury, suspension, and then
Triple H tore his quad the second time at New Year's Revolution 07. You had Rey Mysterio still on the injured list. Undertaker got hurt. Shawn Michaels got hurt. Some stars,
obviously,
like RVD, Sabu.
Well,
the Benoit tragedy.
Already gone. Yeah, the Benoit tragedy. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Edge got injured in 07 in the summer. He had Great Khali as a world champion, winning a battle royal. He had the wellness policy implanted. He had Ken Kennedy violated the wellness policy, and he was going to be Vince McMahon's illegitimate son. It ended up being fucking Hornswoggle, the leprechaun.
Yes, this is when they did Who Killed Vince angle.
Oh god, and they were going to have the quote death of Mr. McMahon, and then the Benoit tragedy happened, and they canceled the Vince storyline, and they went a completely new, different direction, knew everything. It's really unfortunate with the Chris Benoit tragedy, and fuck Benoit for killing his wife and son and then taking his own life in a coward fashion. But I will say, it rocked the wrestling world, but I mean, almost putting wrestling out of business. I feel like unfortunate the Benoit incident was. I think it really changed wrestling a lot for the better, because now you see WWE and wrestling, these like the WWE especially these days, they're not killing themselves. It's a safer environment, where back then, unprotected chair shots, they banned chair shots to the head, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know how you feel about it. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I mean, as as bad as it was, it definitely made WWE, it made them change their tune when it comes to their wellness protection.
And all the steroids and HGH, which Benoit abused, and then they implemented the wellness policy. And at the time, wrestlers were dying at a young age. Now you don't see it much anymore these days. Now the WWE's really looking out for wrestlers' health, and it's a safer environment. They're not fucking breaking their necks, paralyzing themselves. So I think it kind of changed their act a little bit as far as looking out for wrestlers' health is concerned. So, yeah, as sad as it was, I think it was for the better. And then the later part of 2007, the WWE really turned it around.
Yeah.
That's just me. And then CM Punk on the rise, Jeff Hardy, smaller guys starting to get pushed like CM Punk, Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio getting pushed. And led the Jeff Hardy's big year in 2008. CM Punk winning Money in the Bank in 2008. And
he won the world title twice in the span of a year.
Yes, 2009, Jeff Hardy, CM Punk.
Money in the Banks.
Yes, yep.
And the rest for him was history. He obviously, he won the WWE Championship 2 years after 2009.
Again, in 2008, Jeff Hardy beating Triple H and Edge, one of the greatest moments in Jeff Hardy's career. Jeff was super crazy over at the time. But
this is when we had those guys like Kofi Kingston feuding with Randy Orton.
Yes, in 2009. Yes, I remember. He destroyed Randy Orton's NASCAR, and then he pinned Orton at the 2009 Survivor Series, pinning Punk and Orton in one match.
Yeah.
This was well before the New Day Kofi. This was Boom 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 Kofi.
Yeah, SOS Kofi.
Jamaican Me Crazy, Trouble in Paradise Kofi Kingston. ECW Kofi Kingston. But also, One Night Stand 08 was much better than One Night Stand 07. Other cool moments for wrestling for the month of June. Cool moments of wrestling for the month of June. The debut of the Nexus. This was actually 7 days ago. The 15th anniversary of the debut of the Nexus. Or right after Wade Barrett won NXT Season 1 when it was Game Show NXT. I know, it was bad. You had to drink a beverage at an obstacle course challenge, a keg carry challenge, deal the deal, rock 'em, sock 'em, talk the talk challenge.
Drink a beverage. Yeah, this is a challenge.
You're drinking a soda, a Diet Coke, a Diet Soda, in the concession stand. You have to drink it all. Remember how great that was, bro?
Yeah, awesome indeed. Drink a beverage.
Yeah.
Michael Tarver thought the same way.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan on this show, and his pro was
Daniel Bryan basically doing these obstacle course challenges. He has to drink beverage. It took him like 10 minutes to complete it.
Like he's sipping tea.
Yeah.
Like he's literally sipping Earl Grey tea. Like. Then he had like Wade Barrett on this show. He's a tall guy. How could he do the monkey bars, bro? Oh, yeah, and Fred. Oh, the Titus keg carry, right? The beginning of NXT Season 1, Titus O'Neil keg carry. And he almost hit the ring post, and he's like...
That was hilarious.
And like, and he's like, this Titus O'Neil, it was so funny. I remember watching that, and Titus was like... It was so fucking funny. Was Titus O'Neil with that shit.
And this was before Titus World Slide. This was Titus World Slide before it became a thing.
And he was the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the mustache promo segment. Wait, was that? Wait, Jeffrey Reimer. correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't that NXT season 1 Eli Cottonwood? Remember the tall Eli Cottonwood?
Moving on.
But yeah, it wasn't that good. You had Michael McGillicuddy, Curtis Axel. You had Kaval. Yeah,
what type
Alex
of name is
Riley
Michael
with the
McGillicuddy?
Miz. Yeah, Michael McGillicuddy, the son of Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig.
Yeah, what name is that?
Why couldn't he just be Joe Hennig? That was his real name. He had Husky Harris, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt, God rest his soul. What a terrible name, Husky Harris. Yeah, Jeff Reimer says, yeah, that was Eli Cottonwood. Yeah, he sucked. You had Lucky Cannon. You had David Otunga, Justin Gabriel, Michael Tarver, Skip Sheffield, a.k.a. Ryback. Darren Young. All right. But yeah, Jeff Reimer says, yeah, Nexus was a time. Yeah. John Cena joined the Nexus too. But yeah. Nexus debut where they destroyed the ring. They beat the crap out of John Cena and CM Punk and Straight Edge Society. I think Daniel Bryan choked out Justin Roberts with his tie, and then Bryan got fired, but only temporarily. They brought him back at SummerSlam in 2010 to join Team WWE against the Nexus at SummerSlam 2010 in Los Angeles at the Staples Center, where honestly the Nexus should have won. They should have won. Looking back, they should have won that match.
Yeah.
There was a story John Cena wanted to bury them, didn't want to put them over. And Edge and Jericho, I think, said they wanted to put the Nexus over, but Cena refused. And I think they had some beef with Cena at the time with Edge and Chris Jericho, which I don't blame them for. I really don't.
I like Cena here. We all do, but I think I made a mistake there.
Yeah. And then
this was the Nexus's first big match as a staple to think about. This was their first big match as a stable. They needed that win.
Yeah. That
should have gotten that win.
Yeah. And then the Nexus wasn't the same after that. They had John Cena join them, Husky Harris and Michael McGillicuddy joined. That wasn't the same. They had CM Punk as their new leader. It was fine, but not the same. You had that. Who's that? Batista wannabe Mason Ryan joined the new Nexus. That muscle-bound freak from Wales. That failure, Mason Ryan. Who? Oh, that's Batista. No, that's Mason Ryan, a wannabe Batista. He sucked.
He had none of the charisma that Batista had.
You could tell he was definitely on the juice, and he sucked so bad in the fucking ring. He went nowhere. He went absolutely fucking nowhere. Did Mason Ryan. Just a fucking reject, a complete fail project. You know? But other moments of wrestling for the month of June, and I think also, I see it in the chat. Where is it? Here we go. Here it is. I heard the culprit of McMahon limo explosion. Yeah, this was the night of the 07 draft. McMahon, the limo explosion. The culprit of McMahon heard it was supposed to be Paul London, but I'm not buying that one. Yeah, I don't think it was, but Heyman did stare down at Paul London, though.
Yeah. I think the culprit, if I remember correctly, I don't think there was ever going to be a culprit. I think this was the plan was always for Vince to fake his own death.
Yeah, but he wasn't really dead. But the first half in 07 WWE was not that good. It was not good. It was weird.
Yeah, and I think that Mr. Kennedy was going to be revealed as the Jeffrey says. I wonder what would have happened if Benoit didn't die. How the Vince story would have went. So this is what was supposed to happen. Actually, I think the original plan was supposed to be Mr. Kennedy to be revealed as Vince McMahon's son, and he was going to feud with Triple H for the rest of the year.
But that never happened, and Kennedy violated the wellness.
And then then Vince McMahon would have came back at I think the end of the year, and then would have revealed that he faked his death anyway, because he wanted to see how much people would miss him and see if his family really loved him.
Yeah, I didn't like the Benoit tragedy, one of some of the worst, darkest days of pro wrestling, but I think it honestly saved us from misery with the Vince McMahon stuff. I mean, horrible Chris Benoit tragedy, but I think it was honestly for the better. I really do.
I mean, not for the better for his family. I mean, I feel sorry for Daniel and Nancy and David.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for David for what he has to go through to this day.
Yeah. 2 people had no reason to die, and Chris took their lives before taking his own life.
Yeah.
Awful, but I mean, the Vince, I mean,
but the way it sounds, this Vince McMahon, the way it sounds, the storyline sounds how awful. It would have went.
Sounds bad.
Yeah, it's for the better they scrapped it. It's for the better that they scrapped it.
Yeah. Would you rather take a stink face from Rikishi about a 60-minute Iron Man match or a stink face from Conrad Thompson after a brisk 3-minute walk? Interesting question, Camden. Probably the latter. Yeah.
Maybe the latter. I don't know if I were to choose.
Then Fred in the chat. Want to read the rest of the chats before moving on to the next couple topics. December to Remember, or December to Dismember, is the worst piece of shit, disappointing pay-per-view of all time next to that Legends of Wrestling pay-per-view.
Yeah, that was not good at all.
Yeah. And then Fred in the chat, they should have renamed Curtis Axel the Perfect Son. Or like a nickname, the Perfect Son, Joe Hennig.
Yeah.
That would have been better.
That would have been a better nickname. That would be better as a nickname than an actual name.
Yeah. He says one of Bret Hart's last matches was that match at SummerSlam against Nexus. Yeah, that was. Bret was on Team WWE.
I think he worked with the Nexus as well on a couple of house shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. He worked with it on a few house shows too.
They had a funeral in his honor on Raw, I believe, vividly. That was the Vince quote, fake his death.
Yeah, that was the big story. Yeah, they had a funeral. Why are you having a funeral for a guy who obviously is not dead?
No. But then where they had the welfare check for the Benoit house on Monday, June 25th of 2007, they had the welfare check and they found the dead bodies of Chris, Nancy, and Daniel. And you hear I hear like Vince, Ric Flair's crying, Ken Kennedy's crying, Michelle McCool's crying, and then you had Chavo in the impromptu talent meeting where Vince got in the ring and said, listen, we just got word, and unfortunately Chris, Nancy, and Daniel were all dead. And Vicky Guerrero at the time was crying her eyes out in the back with Dean Malenko. Vince is hugging Chavo super tight, and Chavo's all teary-eyed, and no one knew the full details just yet. You see CM Punk on camera weeping, just crying, just saying goodbye to Chris Benoit because no one knew the full details at the time yet, where Chris killed his wife and little boy, his little son, before taking his own life. Those real details started coming out after the Benoit tribute show on Raw. That was the last time they ever mentioned the Chris Benoit name. And yeah, Fred, I agree. The Benoit tragedy changed the industry. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, just sad, Jeffrey. Yeah. And then Fred says in the chat, did they scrap the Benoit tribute show midway while it was on air, or did it finish it? Well, the real details came out after the show.
I mean, the real details didn't come out until after the show.
It was during the show and before the show. No one really knew yet.
Yeah. It wasn't until after the show had ended. It wasn't until the tribute show. It wasn't until the tribute show had ended that they knew what happened afterwards.
Yeah. And before the tribute show, no one really knew yet. And then
you can't blame Vince. Obviously, you can't blame the company for putting on the show. I mean, all they knew was that a colleague of theirs, a friend.
And this was the day and age where social media wasn't as big as it is now. Back then.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really believe. I mean, when a wrestler dies, obviously, a company puts on a tribute show for them. You can't really blame Vince or company for putting on the show. Because they didn't know what happened. All they knew was that, one of their top guys, a colleague, a locker room leader in that company died.
And he was an active member of the roster at the time. Yeah, and he was supposed to, showed a couple house shows and he was supposed to wrestle CM Punk at a pay-per-view thing called Vengeance Night of Champions 07. He was supposed to wrestle CM Punk for the vacant ECW title, and John Morrison took Benoit's spot. And then they do the welfare check, and then everyone's all teary-eyed that everyone thought, what happened? Did Ninja break in and kill the Benoit family? No one knew what actually happened yet until the police investigated and then more evidence and proof came out that Benoit did kill his wife and son before taking his own life. And the evidence starts coming out, and I remember it was all over the news, man. This was a few months actually before I started watching WWE and wrestling in general. I remember at the time I was told it was all over the news, all over the Fox News, CNN. It was all over the news all week.
It was everywhere.
I think John Cena was interviewed. Chris Jericho, months before coming back to the company, was interviewed. And Bret Hart, I think, as well, mentioned the incident as well. It was just some of the darkest days in pro wrestling. June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of 07, and then June 25th. Really darkest days of pro wrestling.
I say the darkest day in wrestling history.
And I just remember Benoit's last match in his life was against Elijah Burke on an episode of ECW. It was June 19th of 07 on ECW episode Tuesday night on Sci-Fi. Benoit wrestled Elijah Burke. Yeah, the Pope D'Angelo Dinero. But I mean, listen, Chris Benoit, great wrestler of all time, but what he did to his wife and 7-year-old son was inexcusable. There's no two people had no reason to fucking die, and they should still be alive on this earth today. No reason to die whatsoever, and Benoit took their lives like a devil. Chris Benoit, the human being, is a fucking monster. Fuck him. As a wrestler, he was the greatest of all time. But what he did will always trump over what he did in the ring. Those are facts. You can praise him. I'll gladly go back and watch a Chris Benoit match, but that's where it stops right there as far as Benoit goes. You can praise him as a professional, but there should be no defending him as a person. What happened?
As a human being, as an individual, he's in fucking hell.
Yeah, roasting like a damn marshmallow, roasting like a rotisserie chicken. He's down there in hell as Benoit.
Yeah, roasted like a chicken.
Yeah,
even chickens are better. Chickens are better humans than they are.
Fred knows.
Chickens are better human beings than they are. Than he is.
Yeah,
and they're animals, right? An animal, right?
Yeah. Moving on to the other top wrestling moments of the month of June, the DX reunion in 2006. Where DX reunited in June of 06, around where DX started the feud with the McMahons, where Triple H turned babyface again for the first time since 2002. And Triple H teased the DX chops so that Shawn Michaels coming out of WrestleMania 22. Triple H saved Shawn Michaels from the Spirit Squad. Shawn Michaels returned the favor, and DX, Triple H, Shawn Michaels were friends again. 2006, they did the DX chops to Vince and to Shane. DX invading the production truck right around 4th of July of 06. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon on live television in the men's room.
This is one of my favorite segments in company history. I always talk about with you, actually.
DX
this is one, the one where they showed Vince McMahon taking a piss.
Yeah.
They showed him taking a piss. They didn't show himself, you know what.
Yeah. And then Jonathan Coachman runs in the men's room.
You can see that he's taking a piss in the fucking bathroom.
And then Coachman runs in the men's room. And then Vince McMahon. Oh, man. Vince McMahon, Jonathan Coachman gets Vince McMahon's piss all over his suit. Literally. With Vince McMahon in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And Vince. It was so funny. So funny, dude.
The 8th wonder of the world. Andre The Giant.
Mr. McMahon. You son of a bitch. Mr. McMahon, DX is running the show right now, sir. You are on live telephone at this time. What? Damn it. And Vince didn't even wash his hands.
Oh, your boss is taking a piss in the bathroom.
Yeah, Jeffrey says DX made Vince's life a living nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was great.
Your boss is taking a piss in the bathroom, and you don't even knock the door?
Yeah. And then Vince didn't even wash his hands. Disgusting.
I blame that on Jonathan Coachman for pissing him off.
Yeah, you don't cross the boss. It was actually a believable reunion between DX after having a blood feud for years. Yeah, when Triple H led Evolution. And then Bad Blood 2004, the Hell in a Cell between Triple H and HBK, which was great. Awesome, awesome stuff. You know?
You discussed some favorite Drew moments from the Attitude Era?
What happened?
You discussed some Attitude Era favorite moments from Drew?
Not yet, but I could a little bit in this show. The second Hell in a Cell between Mankind and Undertaker, where Mankind was tossed 16 feet off the cell.
Yeah, obviously.
Then chokeslam through the cell ceiling. Then chokeslam on thumbtacks by the Undertaker.
Chokeslammed on thumbtacks and chokeslammed on thumbtacks. He threw from the cell, obviously, to this image that will live on.
Good God Almighty, that killed him. My goodness sake, he is broken in half.
Yeah,
the Jim Ross
JR, the greatest of all time on commentary.
Good old JR, Jim Ross. Good God Almighty, that killed him. He is broken in half.
God is my witness. He's broken in half.
And Mick Foley and Mankind and Undertaker were at the beginning of the match were fighting on top of the cell. It was nuts, man. Peak Attitude Era was 1998. Peak. This was right around the time Undertaker and Kane were formed the Brothers of Destruction. Mick Foley was
won the championship also on the night of King of the Ring.
Yes, whereas Kane beat Steve Austin in the first blood match for the WWF title, where Kane won his first and only WWE championship. Then lost it back to Steve Austin the very next night on Raw. And this was during the Monday Night Wars.
It's really unfortunate, though, for Kane. You know, he deserved a longer run.
Yeah, he was red hot at this time after one of the greatest debuts in wrestling history, Bad Blood 1997. That's got to be Kane. That's got to be Kane.
Yeah, he deserved better. He deserved a better run, at least, with the belt than it being 24 hours.
Yeah. Jeffrey says, I got that match on the greatest Hell in a Cell matches of all time, 3-disc set. And deservedly so, it is on there. That and Shawn Michaels Undertaker from 1997 Bad Blood. Other great Hell in a Cells were Edge and Undertaker SummerSlam 2008, Orton and Undertaker Armageddon 05, Batista Undertaker 2007 Survivor Series. I'd even go out there and say Bad Blood 04, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Batista Triple H from Vengeance 05 was another one.
Taker and Triple H, Punk and McIntyre.
Yes, WrestleMania 28, end of an era. Undertaker Triple H or Undertaker streak almost ended.
Yeah.
And then Punk and McIntyre from Bad Blood last year. Yeah, Triple H and Jericho, Judgment Day 02 as well. Yeah, it's another one.
Yeah. We had as well, in the month of June, we saw Steve Austin winning the King of the Ring in 1996.
Yes, yeah, the debut of Austin 316 when he beat Jake the Snake. Yeah, Jeffrey Weinberg, Bad Blood 03, Hell in a Cell, Triple H, Kevin Nash for the world title inside the cell with Mick Foley as the referee. I remember that. Bad Blood 03, that was a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. I remember that. Yeah. And yeah, the Headstrong theme song by Trapped for the theme song for Bad Blood 03. That was a kick-ass theme, too. Instead with this rap music here for PLE songs. I miss the days of heavy metal pay-per-view PLE songs. I miss those days. You had Skillet.
Can we bring them back, please?
Yeah, Disturbed, those bands. You had Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, as well. Puddle of Mud. I miss those, man. 12 Stones was another one.
Can we bring them back, please?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Drowning Pool was another one. Drowning Pool. Saliva was another one. Rise Against. Monster Magnet. Those are some good songs, man. Thinking of other ones. Oh, Rev Theory. Those are kick-ass songs. Miss those songs, man. What is it? Why can't we get them back now? Why does it have to be a lot of rap? Nothing against rap music, but come on. Heavy metal just fits wrestling.
We need some variety. Some variety, please.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Metallica's another one. Metallica's another good heavy metal band. Metallica.
Yeah, I think the ones who sang Inner Sandman.
Still to this day, greatest song of all time. Still to this day.
They talked about DCW One Night Stand, obviously, 05. Sandman making his entrance.
Yeah. Yeah, Fred says, let the bodies hit the floor. SummerSlam 01 theme. And also Limp Bizkit, my wife, for WrestleMania 17. Yeah, Limp Bizkit. Yeah. Which I'm hearing is possibly making a theme song for Braun Breaker. If that happens, man, Braun Breaker, star. Then he already is.
Yeah.
Like that.
Maybe you should use rolling. Because, he rolls people with the spear.
Yeah, Undertaker's American Badass theme. Rolling, 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 rolling. Keep rolling, 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 rolling.
Yeah.
Dead man walking.
Yeah. Yeah. If you take a spear, he rolls you.
Or what about Finger 11, Kane's old theme song, Slow Chemical by Finger 11? Where's theme songs like that? That was Kane's best theme song.
Nah, bro. You're going to get Def Rebel, and you're going to get generic music.
Fuck Def Rebel. They don't know how to make shit for wrestling music. I could make better music than them. Come on. But moving on, the DX reunion, I thought was a great, cool moment with DX coming back in 06.
And we talked about Steve Austin winning King of the Ring in 96, yeah.
Yep. The King of the Ring 98, the second Hell in a Cell, Kane winning the WWE title as well. We also had...
We had some June, King of the Ring... with the King of the Ring.
2001, Booker T debuted in King of the Ring 01.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the King of the Ring pay-per-view 01. Yeah, this was the Shane McMahon Kurt Angle match.
Yeah, that's where Shane got hurt pretty bad. Like, he got a belly-to-belly through some, like glass thing. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think, that match itself was insane.
It really fucking was. Yeah. I think it also had King of the Ring 02. Brock Lesnar won the 02 King of the Ring. The last time King of the Ring was...
this was the rise of Brock
Lesnar. PLE until 2024.
Yeah, that was the rise of Brock Lesnar. It's actually quite fitting, actually, that they're bringing back the King of the Ring again, and it's in the month of June.
Yeah. Absolutely, which is nice.
Honestly, it should be
Vince stopped the King of the Ring pay-per-view because he thought it wasn't enough buys. Bullshit.
Come on now.
That was a lame excuse from the old man. Oh, Kane unmasking for the first time in 2003. When he turned heel on RVD in 03 and MSG. Where Kane unmasked for the first time in 2003.
In 1993, King of the Ring, this was very much the Bret Hart show.
Yeah. The first and only two-time King of the Ring, Bret the Hitman Hart.
I think he beat Razor Ramon. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect. God rest his soul. And Bam Bam Bigelow in the finals. God rest his soul.
Yeah. You had Kane unmasking in 2003.
Yeah, this was I think all three matches were really good. With a testament to how good Bret is. He had 3 great matches in one night. And I love that, love that finish as well with him and Bigelow.
Yeah.
He couldn't beat him with the sharpshooter. He had to outsmart Bigelow in order to win.
Yeah. Bret Hart, one of the greatest in-ring technicians of all time and a great storyteller. was Bret Hart back in the day in his prime.
If only this match main evented instead of,
Yeah, Hogan and Yokozuna.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's another story for another time. But Jeffrey Reimer, Slow Chemicals, Fire. I like Kane's Out of Fire look better and his reverse gear with the red in the front. I think that was late 2011. I think that was a late 2011 Mask Kane. Kane returned to the
Classic
mask.
WWF days. Indeed.
Yeah, with 93. Kane unmasking for the first time in 03. I don't mind unmask Kane, but I don't know how you felt with Kane unmasking it for the first time in 03 and he turned on RVD.
I think it was a change needed. I think he needed it at the time. I think Mask Kane ran its course.
I heard a story that a lot of fans didn't want it, but was Kane's decision to unmask because he felt like he needed the change.
Yeah.
The true story, by the way.
I think he was right in that. Yeah, I think he was right to make that change.
And he looked scary without the mask. Just like with the mask. He looked scary without the mask. Like all bald head. He looked like a scary freak. And he lit Jim Ross on fire. He tombstone pile drivered Linda McMahon. Chokeslam Eric Bischoff off the Raw stage. Destroyed Steve Austin and RVD. He was a monster. Destroyed Shane McMahon. And their late 03 battles. Buried The Undertaker alive at the 03 Survivor Series. I remember, man. Just don't say May 19th in front of Kane.
What else we had in the month of June in best moments of June WWE history? I think
we also had the $1 million
JBL winning the WWE Championship.
Yes, 2004 JBL.
Yeah, JBL winning the WWE Championship from Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah. One Night Stand 2005. One Night Stand 05 and 06, where JBL was venomously booed out of the Hammerstein Ballroom. And JBL got the "You Suck D" chant of the 06 One Night Stand, and JBL's like, I see no women out here, and you're chanting about a male organ. Now tell me who's the fruit booty. And he got booed out the building. It was I laughed my ass.
He was fantastic, JBL. Fantastic.
And he got shut the fuck up chance to JBL.
We had ECW, yeah. I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
When you were doing the show without me, obviously. We got both ECW One Night Stand shows.
Yeah.
We had RVD winning the championship, obviously.
Yeah, Kurt Angle run down.
By the way, congratulations, by the way. Yeah, congratulations, by the way, to Rob Van Dam.
Yes, he's going to be a father.
He's going to be a father for the first time next year.
Baby Van Dam.
Yeah.
So congratulations to RVD and his wife, girlfriend Katie Forbes. So congratulations to them. Kurt Angle running down the ECW fans in 05 yelling, "Your mama taught me how." And Jeffrey Reimer, JBL was hilarious. He was a great heel in the Ruthless Aggression era. Great fucking heel.
Yeah.
Great stuff as a heel. Other happenings, wrestling month of June.
The draft in 05.
Yeah, the draft lottery. Cena on the highlight reel. Chris Jericho highlight reel. WWE champion John Cena drafted to Raw. Batista drafted to SmackDown as the World Heavyweight Champ at the end of June of 05.
Yeah. We had Christian, Randy Orton, Muhammad Hassan. They were drafted over to SmackDown.
Yeah, and Benoit and Batista. Yeah, Muhammad Hassan. Yeah, that guy Hassan.
Yeah, I did watch his documentary, obviously, on Dark Side of the Ring. Very good episode.
Yeah, very controversial. But he was supposed to win the world title at SummerSlam 05. But
he was a great character. He was a great heel. That heat that he got was unmatched. Yeah. He was a good wrestler too. I do feel bad for the guy though. The guy, Mark Capani, the guy that played the character. Can't help but feel bad for him and how his career, ended.
Yeah.
He seems to be doing good in life. He's thankful though for his run. I'll give him that. There's no grudge between him and the company.
Yeah, Jeffrey Reimer says, couldn't stand him. LOL. Yeah, Muhammad Hassan. He was with Sean Daivari, and I think it's like
Sean Daivari as well. His friend. Sean Daivari works for WWE behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Muhammad Hassan is like,
who knows? Maybe one day we get Hassan and Daivari back on Raw one day.
Yeah.
If Hassan wants to come back one day, maybe him and Daivari can make a segment together on Raw.
Yeah, Muhammad Hassan, man, he was a nuclear heel heat guy. He could have been something, but the angle and then it was bad, really bad, very.
That was horrible. That was terrible. Making him a terrorist. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, he had all these like masked men and like army camo, army pants run down, destroy the Undertaker in the ring. It was bad, really bad.
That was awful.
So fucking bad, and it was. Yeah, well, no, we're not going to talk about it. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
But other happenings, wrestling, the $1 Million Mania, Vince McMahon 2008, the whole month of June of away. Vince McMahon giving away $500,000 to whoever called during Raw. They get $500,000 cash money.
Oh my God.
That
was so bad. So bad.
This was during the night of the 08 draft where it's like, hello, is this Mr. Vince McMahon? Yes, it's Vince McMahon. I'm in the crowd. You won $500,000. What's the password? Night of Champions. You win $500,000. And then he had Great Khali, I think, on that show. He's talking and he couldn't understand him. Was the Great Khali? It was so hilarious.
I don't know if it's bad or if it's hilarious.
Yeah. And then Jeffrey says, I almost called in to win some money. Wait, are you serious? Wait, you serious, Jeffrey? No way. I didn't even know that. But speaking of which, the 2008 WWE draft, to me, this is probably my favorite draft of all time. Has to be hands down.
Yeah.
This draft really signaled change in the WWE landscape. Literally. Rey Mysterio got drafted to Monday Night Raw after being on SmackDown for 6 years. Batista got drafted to Raw to feud with John Cena at SummerSlam 08. He had CM Punk, first Money in the Bank holder, got drafted from ECW to Raw after doing everything on the ECW brand. You had Michael Cole.
Drafted to SmackDown.
Yeah, you had Michael Cole drafted from SmackDown to Raw as a commentator for Jim Ross, drafted to SmackDown. I did not like that.
Jim Ross didn't even know he was getting drafted.
And I heard he almost quit the WWE at the time. And it was Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn just doing it for fun, shits and giggles to Jim Ross. That was not that, and Jim Ross almost left the company.
Doing a draft as a gig.
As like to make fun of JR, to poke a joke at him. Fuck Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn. I'm so glad they're not there anymore. And it felt weird with Jim Ross commentating on SmackDown compared to Michael Cole.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Michael Cole was going to become the voice of WWE. You got to have him on the flagship show Monday Night Raw.
Yes, and having Vince McMahon in his ear 80% of the time.
Yeah, and Vince feeding him bullshit. This was before Pat McAfee came along and made Michael Cole good again. Well before it. And you had Jeff Hardy drafted to SmackDown. Matt Hardy, then U.S. champion, drafted to ECW. As if ECW was anything in 2008.
This is what Vince McMahon saw the Hardys. He saw one Hardy as the star. He saw the other Hardy as the lesser thing.
Vince always saw Jeff as the bigger Hardy and star. Always.
Yeah. He couldn't even keep Matt on the same brand as his brother.
Oh, and then ECW champion.
Weird, though. I don't know why you would keep the brothers together on the same show.
And they were in a draft pick match on the 08 draft show on Raw. Why couldn't he just keep them together? And Matt went back to SmackDown in early 09 anyway. I didn't like it. It was awful. But Jeff got drafted to SmackDown at least. That was cool. Matt Hardy. ECW, the only big pick they were going to get was like a guy like Matt Hardy. They lost CM Punk. And ECW champion Kane in 08 got drafted from ECW to Raw.
This is what Vince McMahon thought of the brand, mind you. In the same year where the only time the ECW championship was ever defended at a WrestleMania ended in 8 seconds.
Oh, and Bobby Lashley, ECW champion 07 and 07 draft, got drafted from ECW to Raw, was stripped of the title, but Kane not stripped of the title.
This is what Vince McMahon thought of the brand.
But Vince loved ECW so much. Yeah, 8-second ECW title match at WrestleMania 24 between Chavo Guerrero and Kane. 8 seconds.
Yeah.
8 seconds.
Two men who could not be the more opposite of ECW.
And then Kane drafted the Raw's ECW champion in the 08 draft. How great, right? How fire. Then he had Umaga and Mr. Kennedy, and then WWE champion Triple H drafted to SmackDown. The big get was Triple H to SmackDown, and it was shocking because he didn't want to work Tuesdays, but he worked the SmackDown in late 2008. That was a nice change for SmackDown. Was Triple H?
Yeah.
But the 08 draft, and when Vince McMahon,
everything Punk in a week later after the show.
Oh, and then Vince McMahon's $1 Million Mania, everything crashing down at the end of the 08 draft.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, CM Punk cashing in his first Money in the Bank on Edge. Oklahoma City, Raw, June 30th, 2008.
Yeah, that's the $1 Million Mania. Yeah, we never saw that shit again.
Nope. The next week, CM Punk, first night as a Raw wrestler in 08, cashing his Money in the Bank on Edge. I remember it. It was great.
Became World Heavyweight Champion. First of 5 WWE World titles.
Yeah. It was. I remember watching that Raw live. That was a great moment. Really cool. That night, and then that same night, CM Punk beat JBL thanks to John Cena and Crime Time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the week after this, I think this is when we saw the segment with Crime Time and Cena destroying JBL's limo.
Yeah, they destroy his windshield, his side mirrors, they smash his windows, and they spray paint his entire limousine with red.
Oh, JBL did his watch.
His white limousine, his expensive white limo.
They spent millions of dollars on that limousine to look very good and stylish.
And JBL was not a happy camper. He was pissed.
Yeah.
He
got scammed.
No, not at all. But speaking of the draft, might as well say this. Apparently, following this year's SummerSlam, bro, there's going to be another draft following this year's SummerSlam. Probably around also late September, early October, around the season premieres for Raw and SmackDown, probably. But it will be after SummerSlam. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's the right call for a draft. And I know it was weird under Vince for a draft in October, but with the season premieres in the fall, it does make sense and to do it after SummerSlam. If you do it now or next month in July, it just feels very rushed. I don't know how you feel about it.
I think it's the right move. I think they're going to need something big between Clash of the Castle and SummerSlam. They're going to both take place.
And after Clash in Paris, the next PLE is not till October for Perth, Australia, Crown Jewel. So I think that's around the perfect time to do a draft.
Yeah.
I feel. And honestly, the rosters have felt the same since 2023. And both rosters, especially SmackDown, needs a bad reshuffle.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, but especially
SmackDown needs a draft. I think they need to shake up the roster. They need to make things fresh.
How would you conduct the draft? I would not conduct it like they did last year, where this one was already on their show and they drafted the same show. Jade Cargill SmackDown, drafted SmackDown. It's just a waste of time, waste of a draft pick, and it really devalues the draft.
Honestly, what I would do is bring back. I would say what they did with between 2007 and 2011 draft.
That was.
I would have matches between maybe Raw guy against a SmackDown guy, and the winner gets a draft pick, and then we see the Titantron to see who will get drafted.
The random computer.
Yeah, who will get drafted from one brand to the other? I think that's what you do. I think that's how you do it.
Would you do it how Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce like trade? Oh, I picked this one, pick that one, or is that just very silly?
Nah, I won't think I will do it. I would bring back the old format. One if one beats the other, that brand specific gets from the other, and you see Titantron to see who's gonna get drafted from Raw to SmackDown or vice versa.
Yeah, and the random computer randomizer, that was cool.
Yeah, I think that's how you do it. I think they should bring that back.
Yeah.
And maybe in the main event we see a giant battle royal.
Winner gets like 2 or 3 draft picks.
Yeah. In the main event to close out the show, you get a giant battle royal. And who's the winner of the brand not only gets 1 draft pick but 2 draft picks.
Last year's draft, they had the GMs announce picks, but also Hall of Famers like who don't even are not even part of the show announce draft picks. They don't even watch the product much. Like you had legends like announce picks. Like why?
I guess because and who like RVD. I think they were in a part of a draft before. I guess so. I kind of get it.
Yeah, but
like were they needed there really?
They were not needed. And it's like this one Bianca Belair was on SmackDown and she's drafted to SmackDown. Like it makes no fucking sense.
It's a waste. Like if you're gonna bring these legends in and to announce draft picks, I let them announce who's gonna get drafted from where to where, not just that person stays on that brand. Like it's like
this waste. One was Jey Uso drafted to Raw. He was already on Raw. Why are you drafting him to Raw? It's a waste. Everyone when the draft happens, everyone is a free agent, clean slate, clear start. Everyone's a free agent. No one's assigned. Bullshit.
It's a waste.
That is lazy. That is lazy booking.
Guess what? If they're not gonna be drafted, you may as well not even draft them. If they're just gonna stay on the show.
Like if you're gonna have the legends and GMs out, if you're gonna do that, only have them announce the picks. Like only have them announce picks that for new people switching brands, not Jey Uso draft to Raw, for example, when he's already on Raw. Like if you're gonna announce Jey Uso, dude, from Raw to SmackDown, not from Raw to Raw. That's just stupid. I hate that.
Legitimate.
And they need to do better with this year's draft, format-wise, compared to last year. And last year's draft was not good. And I honestly feel last year's draft shafted SmackDown. You see where they're at now. I mean, the 3 hours is no better, but look who they got roster-wise, dude. Not much star power on that show at all.
For real.
So, I mean, they have SmackDown vs. Raw matches for draft picks. That would make it competitive for, like, a competitive brand extension.
Maybe you add NXT, too, to the draft?
I was going to say, involve NXT in the draft. There's some main roster people who are not doing anything. If say, Michin, for example, we discussed this last night on the SmackDown watch-along. If you're not doing anything with Michin on SmackDown, I would say don't draft her to Raw. She'll do not much there either. Why not send Michin down to NXT and give her something to do down there? I remember she had a little stint in NXT last year, feuded with Jada Parker for a while. That was some good stuff. You could easily slot her in a women's North American title picture. She'd fit like a glove there. And especially if you're going to call up Jordan Grace, Sol Ruka. Like, you're going to need to fill some spots down there in the women's division NXT.
Yeah.
Like Michin, Kairi Sane, who's not doing much on Raw. Maybe she could benefit from a move to NXT. Just a thought. Karrion Kross is another one. Other ones.
I would actually keep Kross on the main roster.
Pretty Deadly. They work in NXT, but not the main roster. You can move Pretty Deadly down to NXT. Plus, NXT needs tag teams.
I would keep Kross on the main roster. Same with Kairi.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, if Damage Control is good. I mean, Damage Control is pretty much done.
Yeah, they're there. They've been
There's
done.
A story there you could do with Kairi, Io, and Asuka.
Yeah.
Maybe build a potential 3-way between them.
Probably, but
Kross, I think he's doing good on the main roster. I think he needs to, to stay there.
But they're not doing much with him right now. And they should. And his contract's coming up.
I think they re-signed him. I think they re-signed Omos.
They did. They did re-sign Omos. I mean, I would be shocked if they don't.
Hopefully they re-sign Kross. Yeah, hopefully they re-sign Kross.
Yeah. But definitely, but NXT involved in draft, I think that would be a good move. And NXT is pretty much a third brand. They're half developmental, half third brand. They're pretty much a third brand in WWE at this point. I think it would be appropriate to involve the NXT in the draft, not just Raw and SmackDown. Instead of just plucking from NXT, move some people from the main roster to NXT if you're not using some main roster talent. I would think that would be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
And please do not have first pick. I understand NFL does their draft polls, their draft format like a sports presentation. You don't need to copy like the NFL. Oh, well, the NFL does this guy to this team because they were already on this team already and they're drafted the same team they were already on. Now, that doesn't mean do that for WWE. That's just dumb.
Come on now. Like, make it exciting. Make it fun. Make it unpredictable.
And only have draft and the only draft picks they should have this year, like announced, only those who are truly switching brands. If you're going to have a wrestler drafted, if you're going to draft everybody on the active roster, and if you're just going to have like this wrestler drafted to this show when they were already on the previous said show, that's just stupid. It's a waste of time. It really makes the draft it really makes the draft mean like it makes it feel meaningless at that point. I hope they don't do that for this year's draft format.
Yeah.
And hopefully this year's draft fixes SmackDown because last year it
just like have fun with it. Like have fun with it. Like they control the shows anyway. You control the show, you control how it goes. Have fun with it.
Or have a storyline wise, like if this one wrestler's having a problem with Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce. Oh, how do I get this off this back? Or say, Seth Rollins' faction is giving me a headache on Raw. Nick Aldis, they're your problem now. Something like that. Or the Bloodline, they're giving me problems, giving me a headache. Oh, R-Truth's giving me a headache, send them to Raw. Something like that. Have fun with it, like you said. Like 2 for 1, 4 for 2 deals, like a trades. Do something like that. Like do shit like that. Have fun with it. That's what it should be about. Have have NXT involved, the NXT call up, something like that. Okay, you can call it from NXT, but in return, NXT is going to need someone from Raw or SmackDown. Have fun with it. I think that would make it exciting. Exactly. We don't need to have the draft, the WWE draft conducted like the NFL. Understand you want sports presentation, that's what it should be, but don't do it like last year's draft because last year's draft format was fucking awful. Not good. So I just hope they do right for the draft this year and fix SmackDown because SmackDown could definitely use a draft. Yeah, fix their women's division and move some to mid-carders and main eventers. That's it. You know what I would do, bro? Honestly, with this year's draft, fix the Raw Tag Team division and fix the SmackDown Women's division, and then move some mid-carders and some main event talents, and that's it. Only the people that need to switch brands have that for the draft. That's how I would conduct the draft, honestly. I don't think you really need to do much for a draft. Or somewhat little change, but, yes, change, but not too much change. Like LA Knight, definitely move him to Raw, for example. Get Jimmy Uso to Raw. Put the Usos back together on Raw. Get the Lucha Bros back together on Raw. Something like that. You could, I would say, move Sami Zayn and a Seth Rollins faction to SmackDown for the Bloodline. Jacob Fatu is going to be done with Solo after SummerSlam. There's no point for them to feud after that. Move the Bloodline to Monday Night Raw for Seth's faction. Something like that. So, something along those lines. And then we might as well end with these 2 last topics for this episode 4 of the Forbidden Podcast. Seth Rollins turned on the Shield in 2014 in June, ending the Shield. There's always a plan B.
Yeah, there's always a plan B.
The night Batista quit Evolution when he waved this. And then Seth Rollins attacked Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose with the steel chair and joining the Authority. And Seth stabbed his brothers in the back.
Yeah.
That I did not see coming. No one saw it coming.
Yeah, that was unpredictable.
And Seth said he didn't, and Seth sold out, but he really bought in.
Yeah, a moment, that is still an influential moment, obviously, in Raw history, in WWE history. We still see the effects of it today, 11 years later. With Roman and Seth feuding. This one, led to, Ambrose and Rollins feuding.
Yeah.
All three became world champions in the next 2 years.
Yeah, Money in the Bank 2016 on June 19th, all three Shield members, WWE champion. Roman dropped the title to Seth. Dean won the Money in the Bank an hour before this Roman-Seth match. And Dean cashed in on Seth after Seth just beat Roman for the title. 1 month after Seth came back from his ACL injury. I remember it so Seth well.
Yeah. And 11 years later, Seth Rollins, he won his second Money in the Bank in the month of June.
Yeah, he won it
years after he won the briefcase. And June must be a really good month for Seth Rollins. It's the month of Seth. Is June.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You had that with Seth turning on the Shield, and then the Shield title wins at Money in the Bank 2016 before the Shield triple threat the next month at Battleground 2016. And then might as well end with this. Did you know Donald Trump used to run Raw for a week, commercial-free Raw?
Yeah.
No commercial Raw. And Vince McMahon sold Monday Night Raw. And Trump purchased Monday Night Raw.
He's ever going to do that in real life. Like he was ever going to do that.
Monday Night Raw, for the first time in its history, will be commercial-free. No commercials.
Yeah. Yeah, this was the first of many Raws that had no commercials.
And man, what a shit year 2009. And man, Raw, what a shit year they had in 2009. That was not good.
Yeah, I think this was the year where we had about 3,870,000 Raw guest hosts.
Oh my god.
Donald wasn't one of the
guest hosts.
I will say this. Donald wasn't one of the bad Raw guest hosts. He was actually good.
Yeah.
I think it's him, Mike Tyson, and Snoop Dogg.
You had
they were good Raw guest hosts.
You had Batista.
They were good Raw guest hosts. Everyone else was shit.
You had Batista guest host Raw.
Yes, that's exactly what I need. A wrestler hosting the show, even though he's not retired.
You had Shaquille O'Neal guest host Raw.
He was good. He went
face to face with the Big Show when they started Jericho. Remember them?
Yeah, he was a good Raw guest host. I'm not gonna shit on Shaquille.
And he made fun of Chris Jericho, called him Christina, and then he went toe to toe with the Big Show. 7 foot tall, two guys face to face with the world's largest athlete, the Big Show.
Vince McMahon was watching this, and he was jumping up and down.
And then he had the involved Crime Time as well, that Raw, where right before it was a month before SummerSlam 09, Crime Time versus Jericho for the tag titles, man. Oh, Bob Barker. God rest his soul.
Another good Raw guest host.
Where he made fun of Jericho, and Jericho said he'll take him on anytime, any place, anywhere.
And Jericho, he had he had issues with the guest hosts.
Yeah, he felt disrespected by the guest hosts of Raw: Shaquille O'Neal, Bob Barker, Trish Stratus, who guest hosted Raw. Who's that guy that Orton attacked at the 03 Survivor Series? Who was that guy? Mark Cuban.
It was one of the Raw guest hosts, the one that butchered the name SummerSlam. Call it Summerfest.
Oh wait, no, that was Shawn Michaels when Triple H was looking for him at a restaurant.
No, not Shawn. No, not Shawn Michaels or Triple H. It was one of the Raw guest hosts in 09 when he had that promo with Cena. He called SummerSlam Summerfest.
Oh wait, Jackie Chan, like one of the Asian guys that when John Cena got rid of the long pants Miz, that one?
Yeah.
Was it that one?
I think
so. I think that was the one.
Oh my god.
They had Freddie Prinze Jr. They had, who else they have? ZZ Top. They had the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
The $1 Million Man, Trish Stratus. I mean, they were good Raw guest hosts. They were just there. They didn't do anything bad.
Oh, Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah. That's a good Raw guest host right
Jesse
there.
Ventura, the Raw to the 09 Survivor Series, where him and Vince won commentary for a breakthrough battle royal where Sheamus won. It was going into TLC 09, Sheamus and John Cena, a tables match for the WWE title. And Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon were on commentary.
Mm-hmm. That was fun.
That was fun. You also, what else do you had? Mike Tyson in 2010, Bret Hart.
Tyson. Bret.
ZZ Top. You had oh gosh, who else did you fucking have at the time? One of the guys from the Green Bay Packers, Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger.
One of them did Mr. Bean host a Raw before, or a guy that looked like Mr. Bean?
Ozzy Osbourne, Seth Green.
Oh, I know Seth Green. Yeah. Did he host one in 09? And he teamed up with DX and Cena?
Yeah, against Legacy, yes. Before Night of Champions 09. Yeah, it was Seth Green. Yeah. Jeremy Piven was that Asian guy. Jeremy Piven. Yeah. I think he's the guy that botched Summerfest. Jeremy Piven, I think that was the guy. Sergeant Slaughter. Oh, Floyd Money Mayweather guest hosted Raw. Floyd Money Mayweather. You know, the guy who broke Big Show's nose at No Way Out 2008 and gave him a bunch of jabs in the nostril.
Boxing legend, Floyd Mayweather.
The Three Stooges also hosted Raw. Yeah, the Three Stooges. Dusty Rhodes, God rest his soul. Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, Snoop Dogg. Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, the NASCAR guys. Roddy Piper. Dude, I could have absolutely seen this. The Costco guys guest host Raw 09. Imagine how terrible that would have been. The Costco guys, Big Blue Major and Big Justice. Double chocolate cookies. We bring the boom.
Now that you said that, they're gonna host Raw in the future. Now that you said that,
I hope not.
You gave them ideas.
They would have definitely hosted Raw in 2009. I'll tell you that.
I mean, just look at it. What the sounds of it, the legends, Mike Tyson and the celebrities, Mike Tyson, Shaquille. I mean, they weren't terrible. Donald, Snoop Dogg. I mean, they were not terrible. It's just the guys who did not know shit about the business. It's just them who were terrible.
I think you had Chris Angel there and Jerry Springer. You had William Shatner. You had
the bad Raw guest hosts were the ones basically. I think the bad Raw guest hosts were just guys that do nothing about the business. They only were there to promote the shows, and they made WWE look second rate. Those were the bad Raw guest hosts.
They got Steve Austin also guest host Raw in early 2010, yeah. I think.
I mean, here's the thing. The legends, the wrestling David legends were not bad Raw guest hosts. Tyson, Donald, Shaquille, they were not bad Raw guest hosts.
I think Ashton Kutcher as well. Ashton Kutcher. Oh, wait, Pee Wee Herman?
I think.
That fucking guy? Pee Wee Herman? God rest his soul, but I mean, I was not a big Pee Wee Herman fan. That was where he made fun of The Miz and Alex Riley with the Big Show. This is what we were doing with The Miz in early November of 2010, people. This is what we were doing with Miz at the time, folks.
Yeah, this is what we were doing with it before he became champion.
Yeah, that was so fucking
humiliated by
embarrassing. Oh, Hugh Jackman, I think, guest hosted Raw in 2011. Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I think he were dressed up as Zack Ryder.
Yes, whoa.
Yeah, I think he gave Dolph Ziggler a punch.
Yeah, big right hand, and Zack Ryder followed up with the Rough Rider, and he actually pinned then U.S. champion Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, we got the Wolverine on Raw.
Whoa. And Fred also mentioned Snooki. Yeah, I think Snooki. Oh,
Moving on.
I don't care. I don't care for Snooki. Fuck Snooki. Rob Zombie, I think.
Rob Zombie, the one who produced one of Edge's themes.
Yes, Rob Zombie, Never Gonna Stop. Yeah, another good song. So I'm like, David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff from one of the SpongeBob movies. David Hasselhoff.
If only the actual SpongeBob hosted the Raw.
Wait,
that
would
have been a lot better.
Yeah. He was a lifeguard, David Hasselhoff. David Otunga when he was in NXT game show, when he was in game show NXT, David Otunga. David A-list Otunga. Yeah, I know. Rowdy Piper. You had Cedric the Entertainer. Those guys, yeah. Raw guest hosts, a lot of them were bad. Not horrible. Dark days of Raw.
And it went on for years. This is the worst part. It went on forever.
Yeah, that was so fucking bad, dude. So fucking bad.
Because every week there was like a new guest host.
Oh man. And I think when Trump quote purchased Raw in 2009, they had had some kind of trade.
Yeah.
He had some kind of trade where Orton the next week, as when he was WWE champion. This was the night Batista guest hosted Raw. Orton was put in a gauntlet match against Evan Bourne, traded to Raw, Jack Swagger, your favorite, and Mark Henry. Yeah, Jack Swagger, former ECW champion, traded to Raw.
What a great draft pick right there, Jack Swagger.
Or traded.
I wish he would draft pick the catering. That's where he should have been drafted to.
Or traded, rather, to Raw. Traded.
It should have been traded to catering.
And in this trade, Raw got Gail Kim, Alicia Fox, Mark Henry, Evan Bourne, Jack Swagger. ECW got Shelton Benjamin, Goldust, William Regal, and the Bella Twins. And SmackDown in this Trump tri-branded trade. SmackDown got Matt Hardy, Finlay, and the Hart Dynasty of Natalia, David Art Smith, and Tyson Kidd. Yeah, Shelton Benjamin traded to ECW in 2009. His first night back in ECW loses in seconds to who? Yoshitatsu?
Yeah.
Oh, don't disrespect Yoshitatsu. He's Japanese. He's Yoshitatsu.
This is what Vince McMahon was doing with Shelton Benjamin and Yoshitatsu. Seconds.
Like he's doing the wah, and he's doing the...
He wasn't terrible. It wasn't his fault, we know.
And Shelton's doing like one more time. Then he gets buzzsaw kicked into next week.
This is what Vince McMahon thought of Shelton Benjamin in 2009. Folks.
I was like, oh, I'm hoping you're wishing to go back to SmackDown, Shelton.
Yeah, this is what Vince McMahon thought of Shelton Benjamin. Seconds.
This is what he thought of ECW. As if the brand wasn't even more dead in 2009. You know? But, yeah, anyways, we're about almost 2 hours in.
An hour, 55 minutes?
Yeah, almost an hour in. Almost 2 hours in, yeah. Can't think of anything else for happenings of wrestling for month of June, but other than the horrible moments of Jeff Hardy and Sheamus and their Summer 2020 in June stuff, that was not good. Stomping Grounds 2019. Remember that pay-per-view? I don't remember.
Exciting show. Yeah, exciting show. Yeah, well, the one where half the arena was tarped.
Remember that show? Remember it? I don't.
I'm glad I don't.
Oh, well, they had Ricochet win the U.S. title off Samoa Joe.
Yeah, and how many people remember that?
They had Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, I think, or they had.
Moving on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. But yeah, they might as well conclude with this one. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell 2022.
Yeah, this is an actual happy ending right there. That's a happy ending.
Cody Rhodes with a torn pec, purple and all. It looked nasty. And injured, and he still wrestled a full cell match with Seth and beat Seth in their third encounter.
Wrestled a 20-minute cell match with one arm.
With a torn pectoral muscle.
With one pec.
You see it all purple and ugly looking, nasty looking.
Yeah. Gutsy performance there.
And he beat Seth Rollins inside the Satan structure. Hell in a Cell, which was their third and final encounter until now, at least. And it led to Cody's return to the 2023 Royal Rumble when he won.
I think this is the match that really solidified him as the top face of the company, honestly.
He had a banger match with Seth on Night 1 WrestleMania 38 in Dallas when Cody returned to the company. Then their second match, WrestleMania Backlash 2022 in May of that year, even better. Their Cell match was better than the first two matches they had, Cody and Seth, in 2022.
This is the match that solidified Cody as the star of the company.
And pretty much the guy.
Yeah.
And the guy who's going to beat John Cena to reclaim what's his, the WWE Championship. Like, this really made Cody the man, the guy. When Cody didn't have to go out there and wrestle with a torn pec, when he didn't have to, and he did it. So, I mean, much respect to Cody, man. When he didn't have to, like, the guy truly is a warrior. Like, what he did, and the bumps he took, I mean, just speaks volumes.
Just fucking insane.
Yeah, and it ended.
That's a match that we talked about for decades. A performance of a lifetime.
Absolutely, and it just showed you how gutsy Cody Rhodes truly is, how dedicated, committed he is, and will always be one of the most respected guys in the company, and in the locker room, one of the most respected guys. Like, he is he is the guy. So give props to Cody for what he did, because he honestly didn't have to. He could have easily said, you know what, I don't think I should do this match. I think for my health, I don't think it's right I do this. But he decided to go up there still anyway and wrestle as planned and go get surgery after. So much props and respect and credit to Cody Rhodes, man.
Props to Seth Rollins too. He couldn't have had a better dance partner than him. He made him. He made the match as good as it can be, and he made it as safe as it can be.
Yeah,
it was as safe can be.
And who knows? Maybe we get Cody and Seth after SummerSlam again.
Who knows? I think we're gonna get a fourth match at some point between them.
We probably will, which I wouldn't mind. Especially with Seth's new faction now, I think it could be some good television, in my opinion. So, that is that, folks, for happenings for wrestling for the month of June as far as pro wrestling goes. And please hit the like on the video and go subscribe to Furious Nation, Hardcore Sports Network, and Over the Top Rope Podcast, which they will be merging with Hardcore Sports very soon. Subscribe to Furious Nation, Hardcore Sports, and Over the Top Rope Podcast. Hit the bell for all notifications. Follow me on social media. Follow Adam Carl social media, X, Instagram, etc. And we hope and that we appreciate every single one of you showing up here in the chat for this video today. We love and appreciate every one of you. So thank you so much for stopping by here. And we hope you have we both hope you guys have a good rest of your Saturday. And if it's raining in your area, stay inside, stay dry.
I hope everybody is safe.
Yeah. Or if it's nice, enjoy that. Or if it's not raining, enjoy the nice weather. But we appreciate you showing up. And thank you once again. We will see you next time here in the channel for more good content on the channel. Episode 5 of Forbidden Podcast will be sometime next month. There'll be another good episode like this one. The next time you'll see me will be with Pyro Productions for the Raw Chaos coverage for the Raw post show after Raw this Monday night. Raw this Monday looking like a good show. 2 fatal 4-ways for the King and Queen of the Ring, Jey Uso, Sheamus, Rusev, and Bronson Reed. And then Asuka, Stephanie Becker, Ivy Nile, and Raquel Rodriguez as well. And also the celebration of the new World Heavyweight Champion, 2-time World Heavyweight Champion, the Ring General Gunther, who's most likely going to set up which is most likely going to set up Gunther and Goldberg for Saturday night's main event on July 12th. in Atlanta for the world title with Goldberg's retirement match, which Goldberg is supposed to be there this Monday on Raw. Live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, Mr. Kennedy territory. Mr. Kennedy. Raw looking like a good looking like a pretty good show this Monday. So I will be there with Pyro after Raw this Monday for the Raw post show Chaos coverage right after Raw this Monday night. And I'll be along with Mitch for the SmackDown Watch Party next week. You should be back next week, and I will see you next time for more good content here on the channel. You'll see Adam, Carl, and I next time for episode 5 of the Forbidden Podcast sometime next month. Date to be determined. I'll let you guys know. And you'll see me next time here on YouTube with Pyro for the Raw post-show, Chaos coverage of Raw post-show, Chaos coverage this Monday after Monday Night Raw. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I'll see you next time here on the channel.
See you guys again.
See you this Monday after Raw with Pyro Productions. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace!